I'm Alun Hughes. I'm Director of Learning and Information Services at the University of the Highlands and Islands, which is a federal distributed organisation, partnership of 14 different organisations across the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, and my job is to run essentially the IT services that we offer to the partnership. And the big task I've got at the moment is trying to unify all the IT services that our various partners offer, and we're actually setting up a separate company to do it. So I've got a very interesting time at the moment. Well, we had a very interesting session on what the future of CETIS is going to be, and I've been a member of the advisory board for quite a long time, and I'm quite committed to the future of the organisation. I'm emotionally attached to it almost. So we had a number of speakers, all with a very sort of different perspective on looking at the future of CETIS, what the state of the market was going to be, and what the positioning options for CETIS were in the changing higher education landscape. And the bit I was talking about was what are the different kinds of operation that CETIS could become after it loses its dependence on GIST funding, which you could see in a positive light. So it was talking about the extent to which it could become a consultancy or a think tank or a cost-sharing group even, and it was just trying to stimulate some discussion, which we had. I mean, it was a very interesting discussion following on from that. I'm not sure we had any answers, but I think it's clear that CETIS is going to need to become, in a sense, slightly broader based with a wider range of income streams. So there's some real questions as to what its mission and values are in that kind of setup. So it was a very interesting session. I always get something out of it. I'm not really a technologist. I mean, I said at the beginning of the session that we had in the Future of CETIS session, I was not clever enough to be a technologist, so I ended up as a manager and committee hack. But it's time out to reflect and come and address some of the really important questions that you don't get time to think about in the day job, with a whole lot of really clever people and really nice people as well. So it's always an absolute pleasure to come here. As I said earlier, I've got a very interesting task in actually myself trying to set up a new organisation, a separate company that is itself going to have to think about its positioning in the market and its mission and values. So I think a lot of the kind of discussion that's been going on here today is really relevant to what I'm actually trying to do back at the ranch. I think CETIS does a tremendously valuable job for the sector as a whole, in doing some pretty unglamorous work, really quite at the coalface, which is the stuff nobody sees, really. I mean, I see it as a member of the advisory board because I get the reports and I talk to the people who are actually doing the stuff. And I'm aware of how important that is. To work with things like the various standards boards that are around, both the government level and international level. And then when we come to these conferences, we end up talking about very high-level things about the future of education and openness and open that. And I mean that's great too. But I think it's all underpinned by that really solid technical work that perhaps ought to be more visible, actually, but it isn't.